What's good, guys? Welcome to Small Talk on Head to Head Basketball. You are joined by two hosts today. My name is Anson.
And I'm Alan. And today we're going to be talking about Ja Morant in the fantasy aspect of it. Right. So obviously, right now we have Ja Morant pulled up. Just to take a look at his stats, we have the ESPN stats of what he did last year, along with his fantasy points, alongside of what he did, career wise. So it basically matches really well on what we are going to project him to do this year. So last year we see him play 61 games played, averaging what 26, 6, and 8, which is really, really solid. The sad thing about this year is that he's gonna come in the year suspended, right? If you guys don't know already, Ja Morant is easily top 20 player, easily top 15 even when he's completely healthy without any like off-court issues. But we see that Ja Morant has been struggling with some off-court issues. However, I do like to point out the fact that he did come out and say like he deleted social media. He's really locked in. He wanted to see what he can do this season, right? That's why if you guys were wondering why you guys haven't heard much of Ja Morant, it's because he turned off his social media, locked in. So I'm very excited to see what he can do this year. However, the 25 game suspension is a big hit, right? What do you think about Ja Morant, Anson?
Yeah, it definitely is a big hit, and that's why we're coming with this video. There's a lot of different opinions on it. Ja Morant is ranked at 100 according to ESPN's new updated list as of October 9th. Andre Snelling's ranked him at 100. His average draft position is at 82 this year. And we're just gonna give our opinion, kind of deep dive on why we agree or disagree. Now, personally, I'm gonna just say I disagree with his rankings. If you if you look at his projected rankings on the screen right here, ESPN is projecting him to average 2000 2,244 fantasy points. If you just bring that stat over to last year in fantasy, that would put him in the 70th range. So he's actually slightly undervalued if you just take just pure numbers. But I'm gonna argue that when you're playing head to head, total stats do not matter as much. If you play head to head, then yes, you should maybe view him in that 70th range and draft him around 70th. However, if you're playing head to head, the beginning of the season doesn't matter as much as towards the end, especially towards fantasy playoffs. And if you're in a tight spot later into the season, and you need to fight for fantasy playoff position, then you should definitely value the end. Last year he was able to average 45.2 fantasy point, which puts him as the 18th best player. So if you're telling me, okay, I'm gonna miss the first 25 games, but after that, I'm gonna have a top 18 player. And when it comes to fantasy playoffs where it matters the most, I'd prefer that. So honestly, I'd take him a lot earlier than 70. What do you think, Alan?
Yeah, I like exactly what you said. Andrea Snellings, I have much respect for you. I'm sure you have your own bias, your own opinion why you put John Moran at 100. But I agree with Anson. In my opinion, it doesn't really make sense. Even in totals, if you just projected him to 2020, 22, 44, he's still top 70, right? And his averages are nowhere near 100, like they're near the 100 ranked people, like people that rank the 100. His averages per game basis, if you can give me the number for that, Anson. His per game basis last year was probably like what 44, 43
Yeah,
points per game.
45.2, which puts him as the 18th best player.
Yeah, 18 best player. So even if we just do the average, he should fall around like the 40th, 45, 50 even mark, right? So you putting him like, just not even you, just ESPN in general, putting him at the 100 doesn't really make sense, right? And if you guys are in your fantasy leagues drafting, and you're like, whoa, I'm right around near the 40th pick ish, 42, 46 pick. I don't see why not take a little gamble on John Morant, right? When he comes back, right? He's gonna come back. He's not injured or anything. He's just suspended as right now. Why not grab John Morant? You take a little hit for the beginning of the season, but players will get injured, so it's gonna balance out. No one like hopefully this season goes well, but injuries are just always part of fantasy. So there will be players that get injured. So it kind of balances it out. You have John Moran, just treat him as okay, he's injured for 25 games, but he'll come back completely healthy, right? Maybe have a little ramp up period, maybe a week or two. and he'll be playing 32, 33 minutes, right? Like averaging, he's playing 32 last season, probably gonna play like 34, 35 this year, right? And you know he's really locked in, just looking at what he's committed to do to try to become better. I mean, I like that as an individual, and I like that as a fantasy player, right? So in my opinion, I think he's definitely a lot higher than 100. I would pick him around the 40 to 50 mark, if that's even. You guys can grab him a little bit earlier, but I think 40 to 50 is a very solid area to grab him.
Yeah, definitely agree. If you want to get him earlier, like I said, the weight of having him in the end of the season is a lot better than just totaling everything out. Obviously, you value the end of the season, the playoffs, a lot more than towards the beginning, October, November. It doesn't really matter. As long as you make the playoffs, you need to perform in the playoffs to win, right? So if you just look at pure numbers, if he's able to play every single game, I understand there is some injury risk, but if you just take out the 25 games and then you multiply his average with the remaining 57, it would put him in the 42nd spot. Um, and then if you cancel out the weight of the end of the season being more important to the beginning of the season with his injury risk, I think it would land him around the 40 to 50th range. If you're unsure about it, I would say take him maybe 50 to 60 if it falls to you. That's if you're not very optimistic about Ja Morant, but I definitely wouldn't slide him past 60.
Yeah, I think anything past 50 or 60 would just classify him as a steal, right? Because if you think about, do you have any names of any like top 60 players, I guess? Like, I mean, even we just did a mock draft, right? We saw a bunch of top 60 players. We have Van Vliet still there somehow, and we think Van Vliet's a steal there, right? But compare Van Vliet to the other players near there. I think I saw like Walker Kessler there, maybe Scotty Barnes, um, maybe Josh Giddey there. Like I saw a few players around that range, and if you just look at their averages, yeah, compared to Ja Morant is probably like 6 or 8 fantasy points. He's performing 6 to 8 fantasy points a lot better than those guys, right? But you got to consider again, right? He's gonna miss 25 games, which is okay, understandable. It's not half the season, and the weight of playoffs, right? Like Anson said, I'm pretty sure if you draft Ja Morant around 50 or 50, like around 50 or 60, you're not gonna instantly just, oh, that's an insta lose. You're not gonna instantly lose. Who knows? Ja Morant might even perform better than these stats are projected. So what happens then? You might just won your league just by picking a top 15 player, top 20 player at pick 60, pick 55, right? So if you guys have the ability to draft them around that range, cool, right? Okay, so what if he gets picked earlier, like pick 30, 35? There's nothing wrong with that, you know. So that person wants to take the risk. Okay, another player falls to you around that pick. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people are higher in Ja Morant, some people are a lot lower, right? It just depends on how much risk you're comfortable taking, right? If you're already drafting people that are injury prone, and you're gonna slide them to your IR, right? You're like, okay, if these guys get injured and I have Ja Morant as well, that might be too much of a risk. But if you kind of balance it out and figure out, you know, who you really want on your team, right, and what pick you're gonna be getting, and you kind of just, you know, space it out and say, okay, I could grab Ja here at 48 or 46, right? Will that hurt my team a lot, right? Like, I don't think it's gonna hurt you. I think it'll actually help you a lot more when he comes back, right? And you also have to take consideration of that he is a point guard. If you already have 4 point guards by pick 48, first of all, you're not watching our channel because that's not what we do. But if you already have 4 point guards by pick 46, 48, then I don't recommend you grabbing Ja Morant. I just don't. Moving on from Ja Morant, right? We got we got our Discord set up for you guys, right? We got a lot of comments asking us, hey, we want to join your 12-man league, we want to square up, right? I want to see what we can do against you guys. You know, I don't want to, you know, pop your bubbles or anything, but you know, we are champions of our league, so I just want to bring that up again. We both have a ring, so it's not going to be no cakewalk. All right, Anson, you got any words for them? Words of encouragement for them?
You just ignore Allen, man. Just friendly competition. Just join up. Uh, just a cool chance for us to interact with you guys.
Yeah, and you know, we want to set up Discord so everyone's comfortable. You know, you're still safe. We don't want to leak anybody's privacy or anything. But if you guys are interested in joining a 12-man league with us, yeah, come on, like let's have a little friendly competition, right? You guys can use our rankings, or if you guys have your own secret picks, you guys can use them too. See how it fares against us, right? But yeah, the Discord link will be in the description. And following this, we have a new segment that we're trying to implement, or I want to help you guys out. So we're looking at our comments, we're seeing, who wants our buys. Like we want to be able to interact with you guys, build that bond from creator to with you guys. But let's go really quick about his team. So he's on a 16 team. Wow. I didn't even know you can go to 16 teams, Anson. Did you know that?
I don't really have much experience with the 16 team, but I'm looking at your team right now. Um, I really like the top picks. I can't really speak much on the later picks. Once it gets past 130, I have no idea who to select. Like I've only have experience with 12-man teams before, but Luca at 2 is justifiable, is good. I think 31, Kyrie. We talk about not taking point guards early, but obviously you said it yourself. That's pretty good value for Kyrie Irving if he can stay on the court. I think Julius Randle, his ability to play every single game, and if he's able to produce the same exact numbers he did last year, I think Randle at 31 is an absolute steal. To be honest, if you look at Randle's totals, for totals, Julius Randle ranked in the top 10. So he
Yeah.
ranked number 11 in totals last year. So you getting him at 34, if everything stays constant with New York, I think that's another steal right there. Chet Holmgren, it's more of a high risk, high reward pick. We don't know much about him, but judging off his first preseason, he looks pretty good. Um, Nick Claxton, I think you got him at a great value. 40th fantasy point per game average last year, should carry that on this year. Chris Paul 95, since he's starting, is really good value. With Tobias Harris, I don't know how to comment on that, mainly because I just don't know how the 76ers lineup is going to look next year with Harden sitting out. There's rumors apparently about Embiid wanting to sit out with Harden until he gets traded as well. I think Miles Bridges, I think he's a pretty good risk, mainly because at 127, I'm sure there was nothing left on the board. And if he pays off, he's really going to pay off. If he doesn't, just drop him, pick someone else. No big deal. Same thing with Christian Wood. AD loves playing power forward. Darvin Ham mentioned that he wants to keep AD at power forward for a good amount of time because just to prevent injuries. Obviously, centers have to get in there and get injured, get in more injury prone roles, right? They got to kind of box out and contest shots. So Christian Wood, if he can play defense, as a Laker fan, I'm hoping he can play defense. But if he can play defense, he could definitely get some minutes there. Zach Collins will be starting at center. I'm not sure how long that's gonna last, but if that's your last pick, you can go for it. And you know, the 3 guys I see at your waiver, honestly, I think I just keep your team like this for now. I prefer everyone on your team over those 3 guys in the waivers. Maybe Steven Adams. I'm not sure how far along his injury he is, but I haven't been keeping up. But I mean, if Steven Adams is fully healthy, I'd prefer him over Zach Collins. What do you think about this team, Alec?
Yeah, I was just going through. I kind of agree with most of what you said, right? We just saw Chet Holmgren, like Anson and I, we just watched the game right now. We are basketball fans. Like we do enjoy watching different teams, especially rookies, to see how they perform. We just saw Chet, go against Victor. And Chet looked really, really good, looked very aggressive. It looked healthy. Didn't look like he was very afraid of the ball or anything. Nick Claxton, we just watched him against the Lakers as well. Decent play, like not decent, decent minutes that he's getting around. And obviously it's preseason. They're not pushing the guys too hard. Chris Paul, we saw what he did with Curry on the court, right? Chris Paul is a starter, was what we saw. Maybe it'll change later on, but as of right now, Chris Paul is a starter. So I think that's a very, very good pick at 95, especially, right? Tobias Harris, same thing, right? We don't know what the situation is going on with Embiid and Harden, right? I really hope Embiid doesn't go down with Harden, right? I think this is more just of a Harden situation, but I'm not in this Philadelphia 76ers management, so I don't know what's going on. But yeah, everything else seems pretty solid. Miles Bridges, Christian Wood, Zach Collins, very, very solid from your waivers. Steven Adams, Tyrese, and Josh Richardson. Um, I did see another comment saying Steven Adams would be the better pick, and I kind of agree, right? If there's anybody else there that, for example, I don't know who else is going to be around 160. Right? I'm pretty sure Ben Simmons probably taken already. Maybe Jabari Smith, you could get him there. Maybe Schroeder if he's there. I don't know who's there because I never really played 16 team. Um, but no red flags at all. I don't think you. I think you did really, really good. You did really, really good, especially in our opinion. You know, obviously we don't know how the season's gonna go, but we think you did really good. You know, Anson, yeah, do you think he did pretty well? Anything you want to bring up or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, based off just looking at your team, I didn't, I'm not, obviously, Alan and I aren't able to see who else is on the board when you picked up guys like Chris Paul, Tobias Harris. So we don't know, but just looking at it, looking at where you drafted your players, I think everyone got drafted at pretty good values. Just looking at, okay, Nick Claxton at a 66, good. Julius Randle 34, steal. So just looking at just the numbers, I think you did pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, definitely agree. Yeah, but hey guys, if you guys want us to do more like this, interact with you guys, drop your teams in the comments. You know, we obviously will try to get two or three done. You know, we don't want to take too much of our time, and we'll try to answer it in our comments. But yeah, if you guys want our opinions on your teams or on certain players, like, hey, should I draft this guy over this guy? We'll try to give you guys our answers, right? But yeah, just let us know in the comments. And yeah, anything else you want to add for them, Anson, before we wrap this up?
Make sure to follow, subscribe. Like Alan said, we love to interact with you guys, so make sure you drop some comments. Uh, and we'll try to get to you guys.
Yeah, and then one last thing, right? Remember, we do have our Discord setting up right now. So if you guys are interested joining our 12 man, right? It'll be in our Discord, it'll be in our link in the description below. We're looking forward to, having some fantasy subscribers with you guys to see how you guys, fare up against us. But yeah, hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Hope you guys have a great fantasy season, and we'll see you guys in our next video. Peace.
Peace.